Welcome to Classical Mythology. I am your instructor, Mr. Bernard Norcott-Mahany. So this summer we're going to be looking at Greek mythology. We'll be looking at some Roman stuff as well, and stuff from the Middle East and Egypt, all of which had some effect on or was affected by Greek myth. So we'll get a sort of broad sense of what was going on. Now, I've taught this class a bunch of times. The one thing that I would urge you to do, plan on actually doing the work. If you are figuring this is a class and you're going to get by simply doing some stuff, maybe 2 or 3 times a term, you will not do well. You will not learn anything, and your grade will not be good. So if that's your plan, that's fine. That's an okay plan. It will not work in this class. All right? So your job is to actually learn the material. If you're not interested in learning the material, my recommendation is consider doing something else. Okay. If you're willing to learn the stuff, I'll do what I can to help you do that. So, first of all, the textbook. The textbook that we'll be using is Lisa Maurizio's Classical Mythology in Context. And this is what the book looks like. It's got Athena on the cover. This is a bronze statue of Athena. Those are glass eyes. That is the way a bronze statue would look. They would have glass eyes put into the head. And so one of the names of Athena is she's called Glaucopis, which might mean gray-eyed. It might mean flashing-eyed. The point is, there's something about her eyes that catches your attention, and this would definitely do that, right? That would catch your eyes. So that's the book. You get it as soon as you can. If you don't already have the book, you need to get it as soon as you can. So there are some online options for getting the book. You can get it in an online version. You can get it through Amazon. You can rent it. I would urge you to rent the book. It's not that great a book that you really want to own it forever and ever. It's a good book for a class. It's not a great book for something to keep in your personal library. So the first 3 things that you're going to need to do for the class are, first, you're going to need to introduce yourself to the class on a bulletin board. So one of the things that I'll be doing throughout this class is each week you will be making posts to a bulletin board. If you haven't done this before, you make a post, other people post, you reply to their post, they reply to your post, and so forth. That's how it works. It's a way we can do online discussions. It's not an ideal form, but it does give you an idea to crystallize some thoughts yourself and to comment on other people's. So the first thing you're going to do is do that. You're going to go to the website. You'll see a thing that'll say, introduce myself or all about me or something like that. You'll click on it. It'll open up the bulletin board, and then you will post about yourself. You'll do a paragraph or so. There are instructions on the bulletin board. The due date is also listed, so you know when you need to get this done by. You do need to get this done and the syllabus quiz done, or you will be marked as not attending the class. So it is important that you get to this material and that you start, getting some stuff done. So get some points on the board. It's also my way of making sure that you're regularly attending by looking at, have you posted and the like. Read the syllabus for the class. The syllabus I've already sent you, or I'm sending you in an email at this point, and you will have the syllabus also when you open up the class in Canvas. It'll be right there. You can open it there as well. You're going to take an online quiz on the syllabus. This is a 20-question quiz. It's multiple choice. You'll answer the questions, and you can take it more than one time. This is the only multiple choice thing that you'll do where you get more than one shot. So the test, you only get one shot. Here, if you take it and you only get half of them right, you can take it again and increase your score. The top score will be the score that counts. So those are the 2 tasks to do, and those are due pretty much right away. So get on those. They don't require any knowledge really on your part. The syllabus quiz requires that you've read the syllabus, but you should do that first anyways. If this were a face-to-face class, I might actually read part of the syllabus to you. You don't want me reading it online. So this question sometimes comes up with students. I don't have a book. I ordered my book. It hasn't come yet. If you have no book, you can do the following. In the class in Canvas is grouped by modules. Each chapter has a module, and in that chapter's module there is a PDF of a PowerPoint about the lecture. There's also an audio file in that module, which is basically me giving a lecture based on those slides. In addition, if you go to the announcements, I've got PowerPoint slides that Maurizio produced when her book was produced, and I've got those with an audio track. They're all on YouTube, and there are links there, so you can just go to the link and you can listen to those lectures. That will give you enough information to make posts on the bulletin board. Even if you don't have the book, you can still do that. The first work we're going to look at is a Greek work called the Theogony. That's really what you're going to mainly be doing this first week. I've got the text for the Theogony with notes in the module for chapter 2. So you can open that up, you can use that, and you can read along with that. So you don't need the book really for this first week. It's helpful if you've got it, but if you don't, and look at getting it online through Amazon, rent it. The problem with, ordering it, the book form, even as a rental, if you're only starting to do that now, it's probably going to be a couple weeks before you get the book, which is really going to put you somewhat behind. All right, a couple of other things. First of all, this is the main thing in chapter 1, right? What is a myth? When we talk about myth, what do we mean? In short, a myth is a story, originally an oral story. In other words, it was not composed in writing. It was composed by people telling the story and passing it on orally. And there was a whole style for the Greek singers to tell these stories. They had a metrical pattern, so there was a particular beat, there was a particular sound to it. They would have accompanied themselves on the lyre, so it would have had a fixed thing. I mean, think of something like Gregorian chant. If you've ever heard Gregorian chant, it's got a fairly fixed form. Think of something like that. Now that's a little bit maybe too formal, but that would give you an idea of how this would sort of work. Myths are also not just any story. They're stories that deal with heroes and gods. If they're dealing with other stuff, they're not really myths. Myths are not lies, though they deal with fanciful things. Now, so if we're talking about literal truth, myths are not literally true. There is no person sitting on Mount Olympus holding a thunderbolt or a lightning bolt and throwing it at people that he's angry with. That simply is not the case. I mean, if you're believing that, you're believing something that's basically magical thinking. It's not actual real, right? Lightning, there are meteorological reasons for lightning. Lightning can be explained. So, literally, they're not true. But they're not lies because they have a truth behind them. So, in the case of like someone like Zeus, the idea is that there are gods. Those gods have more power than humans. Those gods are able to witness what humans are doing and then judge them or punish them or reward them based on how they act. So that is sort of a belief, right? I mean, a lot of Christians believe that regarding the Judeo-Christian God, that God knows everything, sees everything, and therefore, if you think you're getting away with some shady business, sooner or later you're going to end up paying for that because God will make sure that happens. Now, if you don't believe in God, obviously that's not going to necessarily apply, but myths are not lies, right? There is a truth there, regarding human behavior, even if the particulars of the story are not literally true. So in chapter 1, there's a nice little diagram, a little box, a graph that has different ideas on myth, the different types of stories that we call myth. Because there are 3 different types. There's myth proper or true myth. These are myths that deal with gods. The theogony is the best example of that. It just deals with the birth of the gods. Humans don't really feature as characters. They're minor characters in the background. There are no individual humans in the theogony. There's legend. Legend are stories that have some historical basis, and that historical basis can be very small. It does not have to be some great, historical truth. Stories about the honesty of Abraham Lincoln, right? As a kid and as a young man, those stories are legends. I mean, there was Abe Lincoln, but what we know about Abe Lincoln, he wasn't always honest. If we're talking about being strictly honest, right? The guy was a lawyer. The guy he was a politician. He did stuff to get stuff done. I think he had good reasons for it. I think his heart was in the right place. That does not mean he was always honest Abe. But that's the story, and that's a legend, okay? And then folk tales are tales that involve monsters in some way, right? So Jack and the Beanstalk, Jack has to fight the giant. That's a folk tale. We're going to see all 3 of those in this class because all 3 of them get sort of grouped together as Greek myth. So the first author we're going to look at is a guy named Hesiod. Hesiod was an oral poet. What that means is that he composed his work orally. Hesiod himself did not know how to read nor write, and he did not read or write. He had 2 major works associated with him. One was called the Theogony, the other the Works and Days. He came from Boeotia, which is in north-central Greece, lived sometime in the 8th century BCE. So I'm thinking like 750 to 700 or 750 to maybe 690. That's the time period he's living in. The Theogony, the work that's in Maurizio's book, she doesn't have the Works and Days. It tells the story of the birth of the gods, like where the gods came from, and then also the rise of Zeus. And that's sort of the main thrust of the story. The story arc ends with the rise of Zeus and why Zeus is and deserves to be the king of the gods. So, welcome again to the class. Please do the work. If you stay on top of the work, you'll have a better experience. Certainly, you'll have better grades. I want you to learn what you can from the class. I want you to come away with some knowledge and with some understanding. I want you to have some fun with the class, to the extent possible. But make sure you stay on top of stuff. If you let things slide, it's going to get away from you, especially in a short class.